Amherst residents face another parking ban as the town works to clear streets and parking lots days after the storm.
Western Mass News reporter Matt Price continues our team coverage live in downtown Amherst with more. Matt, how are things looking?
Well, Chris and Amanda, from what I've seen throughout the day, most of the roads in this area don't look too bad, although there are some main roads and side streets that could use a little more work, such as the street that I've been on for much of the day, and that includes streets that have side parking. Today, our crew witnessed vehicles lining main streets and side roads, and speaking of, as a result of some of these roads needing more plowing, a parking ban will go into effect late tomorrow for a widespread cleanup operation. Beginning at 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, the town is declaring an overnight parking ban downtown. This is so plows can remove whatever snow and slush are still out there and make it easier for drivers to park. There are several spots affected. Among them are Spring Street from Churchill Street to Boltwood Avenue, Main Street from South Pleasant Street to Webster Street, and Boltwood Avenue from Main Street to College Street. Now this week, parents are dropping their kids off at UMass Amherst with the semester beginning on Thursday. I spoke with two parents from Peabody dropping off their daughter today. They tell us they won't be impacted by the ban, but they were nervous about what things would look like on campus after the snowstorm.
My wife and daughter were nervous about it, but I mean, we're New Englanders. We adapt.
He and his wife are heading back to Peabody tonight and plan to drive carefully as road conditions still aren't ideal. For the upcoming ban, parking will be allowed in the following areas. There is the lower level of the Boltwood Walk parking garage just off of Main Street. There's also the town portion of the Prairie Street lot and the northern row of the town North Pleasant Street lot, only the row closest to the church. The town says anyone who violates the ban will be ticketed and towed at the owner's expense. We did try to get in touch with the superintendent of the Amherst Department of Public Works, Guilford Mooring, but we did not hear back. Reporting live from Amherst, Matt Price, Western Mass News.